Hi. So I thought it would be fun to share all of my 5-star reads. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 5-star reads. That's not very many. I'm a little bit picky when it comes to books sometimes. I went through a big streak of everybody getting 5 stars. But I still feel the same way about them, so I think that they were pretty justified. I have my Goodreads, so we'll be able to take a good look at them. So my first one, with an average rating of 4.19 stars, 1984 by George Orwell. This book holds... Somebody's loud out there. Such a special place in my heart. I read this my junior year of high school and absolutely fell in love with it. I, at that point, had not really been reading very much anymore. I was a huge reader for a long time. Fell out of it when school got rough for a while. I was, had a lot of assignments to do, so I just wasn't reading anymore. And this book, I went through this book like a knife through butter. Absolutely loved this book. I have read it another 2 times since then, and it continues to be a 5-star for me. Absolutely love this book. I would love to know how you feel about it, because a lot of people do not agree with me. A lot of people I know hate this book. So, let me know what you think. Next on our list is one that absolutely nobody that I know besides 2 people know what this book is. One of them is my mother, who gave me the book and told me to read it. This is Intensity by Dean Koontz. I absolutely love this book. This was when I decided to start annotating for the first time, so I have my clear post-it notes with little annotations. I absolutely loved this book. If you are into psychology, murder stories, like serial killers, you will probably love this book. I absolutely loved it. I ate this book up. I finished it in probably 2 or 3 days. It was the book that got me back into reading as an adult. I am so in love with this book. I recommend it to every single person I see. I don't know if I have it. I don't have it on my shelf, but I have a second copy of this book. And I actually only bought it because I needed it for a project for an art class that I took. I took a screen printing class, or a printmaking class, and it was so fun, and we got to design a book cover for a book that we love, and we got to actually screen print it on the book. So I bought myself another copy of Intensity just for that, because I didn't want to ruin my pristine one. I wanted to get a second one in case I ended up not really liking it. But I am absolutely in love with this book. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. If you take the dust jacket off, it's just nice plain black. Ugh, I'm in love with it. There is nothing about this book that I do not love. So, number 2. Number 3 is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. This book, oh my god. My mom lent me this book, and then I had to get my own copy because it was so good. It did such an amazing job at talking about the struggles of Chinese American families and the trauma that gets passed down through their families. It was very emotional. There were multiple parts that had me in tears. It was so, so good. And if you haven't read it, I'd recommend you read it. It's so good. Just there's nothing else that I can say besides, wow, absolutely amazing. Please pick this book up. Even if you're not into those kinds of books. I was not into these kinds of books, and it was absolutely the best. Recommend it. Please read it. Next on our list, I have a stack, so I have to look for them. Suicide Notes by Michael Thomas Ford. This is actually, if you look on the back, it's a teen book. It was published by Harper Teen. Oh my god, though. I read this as an adult. I am 24 years old. When I read this, I was 23. I just recently turned 24. So it's about this boy who wakes up in a psych ward, and it's about him learning more about himself and why he is there, and all the people around him, like how he can relate to them, how he is like them, and it tore my heart to shreds in the best way possible. I was in tears by the end of the book. I absolutely love it. I think that we can all find at least something in our high school days that can let us relate to many of the characters in this book. It's an amazing representation of mental health. It's an amazing representation of, like, finding your sexual identity. Please pick this book up. Even if you are not a teen, this book is amazing. Just because it was published for teens does not mean it is only for teens. It is so good. It is such a graceful way of explaining so many different struggles that a lot of teens go through. And it holds a very special place in my heart. I wish I had read this in high school. I think that it would have really helped me. But please read Suicide Notes. Next is a book I got for Christmas. Is The Help by Catherine Stockett. I have not seen the movie yet. I plan to watch the movie. Oh my god, this book. I'm not into historical anything. This book got me into that. This book was so good. It's a side of the stories that you don't see often. It's from the point of view of the maids, the servants. It brought you to, like, the bad part of town. It was so good. I think it's a very important story that a lot of people need to hear in our current times. It's from the point of view of multiple different maids. I believe they called themselves in the book. They are called the Help because they go to families' houses. They take care of their kids. They take care of the house for them. They are the Help. And their stories were so profound, emotional. The end had me, like, speechless. There was nothing I could say. Only tears. Very, very good. If you haven't read it yet, you should definitely give it a read. After I give it a watch, maybe I'll compare them. I've heard that the book is much better than the movie from some people. I've heard that they are both equally amazing from some people. We'll see. Alright, next. This one is an old one. I read this when I was quite young, and I rated it 5 stars then. I have not read it since. I do not know if it is still a 5-star. Maybe we'll reread it sometime soon, and we'll see if it is still a 5-star. It is Shiver by Maggie. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because I know I can't. There she is. This one, I do still remember the feeling that I had reading it. It's not quite a romance, but there is a lot of, like, romantic undertones. This poor spine is so broken from how many times I read it when I was younger, and I don't break my spines, so that should tell you how much I loved it when I first got it. I have not read the other books in the series. I kind of want to, even though this was literally a Scholastic book. Like, I think that will tell you how long ago I got it. I can't even put it into words. I absolutely loved it. I remember loving it, but I can't remember why I loved it. But it was about this girl and this guy that, like, she remembered that, like, stuck around, but, like, he was a werewolf, so he was a wolf most of the time, and he just kind of, like, would come to her house and, like, as a wolf and, like, check on her, I guess. I don't know. The text is, like, blue. I don't know if you can see it, but the text is, like, blue through the whole book, which is not something I remembered, but so cool. I don't remember why it's a 5-star. We'll reread it. We'll figure it out. To be continued. I'll share later. Next is one I read on my Kindle, so I don't have the physical copy of it, but A Man Called Ova, I believe it's Ova, I've heard people say both, by Frederick Backman. Oh my god. I did not think that I would rate this book 5 stars. I didn't really like it until the end. I would say until, like, the last 3 or 4 chapters. I did not like it. I did not like him. And then the end just, like, blew it out of the water. I was, like, ugly sobbing. Red in the face, ugly crying. Like, could not breathe crying. I fell in love with the main character without even knowing. And sometimes when I think about it, it still gets me a little bit choked up. So I probably won't talk about it for long. But, oh my god. It was so good. It just... the relationships that are built in the book and learning about all the different people in his life, like, very subtly throughout the story. You feel like you know them. And it just breaks your heart and rips it to shreds. So, if you haven't read it yet, I definitely recommend it. I gave it 5 stars. A lot of people give it 5 stars. I recommend. If you want a good cry. If you want a good cry, read this book. It will definitely make you cry. Next is another one I got when I was younger. I have read this book about 20 times. And I've read it at least 5 recently. That is how much I love this book. It is The Truth About Alice by Jennifer Matthew. Oh my god. This book is from the point of view of, I think, 4 or 5 different high schoolers. And they all... It's all the same story, but you also learn their stories and their points of view and their side of things. And it's just very, like, raw. I think that's the only way that I can describe it. It's very raw. You start hating a character, and then they tell you their story, and it just, like, squeezes your heart a little bit, and then you can't hate them so much. It's, like, the little subtle things that a lot of teenagers have to deal with in their personal lives or at home or in secret that just... It was magical. It still is magical. It's very short, as you can see. It's a total of 199 pages. So, like, this is a one-day read. But it's so worth it. It's absolutely amazing. I recommend it to absolutely everybody I see. Every single time I read it, it's still a 5-star. It will never not be a 5-star for me. It is one of my favorite books of all time. And I definitely recommend it. I think all of us can go back to our teenage years and relate to almost every single one of the characters in this book. We can reach our heart out and we can find them somewhere within us. And if we can't find them in us, we can find them in the people we love. It is just so raw and relatable. Definitely recommend. This video is going to be a lot longer than I expected it to be. Next up is a poetry book. This is Butch Geography by Stacey Waite. This book holds a very special place in my heart because I have it signed. I got to actually meet the author at a college event when I was still thinking about going to school for poetry. Crazy. I originally wanted to go to school for poetry and I ended up with a psych degree. So, crazy how things happen. Thinking about going back for an English degree. We'll see where that leads me. But it's just a really, really good, powerful poetry book about learning who you are and learning your identity. There's not much I can say about it. You just have to read it to get it. Definitely recommend. Next are, I don't have them out because they're so nicely displayed, the last 4 books of the ACOTAR series. Not the first one, not her. She's only a 4-star. But these 4 are 5 stars for me. Not a lot of people like the novella, A Court of Frost and Starlight. I don't know why, because I was absolutely in love with it. Now, I know that everybody wanted the spice, they wanted that. That's not what I was looking for. It was a bonus, but not what I was looking for. I think the novella is good for all of us that like those little details and like those little personal touches. That's definitely what the novella was. If you want spice, you want the last one, you want A Court of Silver Flames. I almost blushed just thinking about that book again. But that whole series, recommend. If you're into fantasy, you need to read that one. Next up, another book for all you psych people is You by Caroline Kepnes. I absolutely love this cover. Not very into the Netflix cover. I don't like people on my covers. I don't think you can pull it off very easily. But this book is absolutely amazing. This is another one that I have annotations in. This book took me 2 days to finish. I could not put it down. Just from a psychological standpoint, from the, like, looking at things through the villain's eyes is something that's more common now, but this one is it's on a whole other level. We see stalking through the stalker's point of view, and they don't make it cute. It's not romantic. It's not romanticized. It's creepy. It's stomach churning. It makes you feel gross. There were multiple times in this book, I physically felt like I needed a shower. It grossed me out so bad. But it was in the best way possible. It is so good. I recommend it to everybody that's considering it. I don't know if it's the psychologist in me, but just something about this book. I've heard that there is a second. I will be getting it, and I will be reading it, and I hope that it is just as good as the first one. Also have not seen the Netflix show. I really want to see it, but I'm not as into shows and movies as I am into books, because I don't know, I feel like sometimes it just ruins it for me. But it's just so good. This is in my top 5. It's absolutely amazing. Definitely recommend it if you haven't read it yet. Okay, what is next? Next is another stomach churner, Tender is the Flesh. I heard a lot of good things about it before I got it. I got it around the same time that I bought Haunted and Manhunt and A Certain Hunger, Final Girl Support Group. I got it the same time as this. So, I bought it when I was in kind of a horror thriller kind of phase. And they just weren't hitting like I wanted them to. Which, Haunted, I wanted it to be more than it was. I wanted to be scared. I wanted to be terrified. Same with Cujo. I absolutely love Stephen King. I was so excited to read Cujo, and I feel like maybe I just hyped it up too much before reading it. It was only a 3-star for me. That Haunted was only a 3-star for me. So I was kind of losing hope in my thrillers and my horror books until I read this. This book from front to back was just chilling, just gross, it's almost nauseating. That was my door moving. That was weird. Recommend it. It was just so creepy, disgusting. Absolutely recommend it. That's the other one. Lapvana. I also bought Lapvana at the same time. Did not like Lapvana at all. Hated Lapvana. But I still got through it. So, alright. Next is another one I read on my Kindle, so I do not have it. I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Absolutely amazing. I've never read a memoir before. Best memoir, I think, ever. I've plans to read more, so we'll see if it stays in number one. But it was just so good. It was very just honest and raw, and it was very Jeanette McCurdy. I love her. Loved her as a kid. Love her now even more than I did then. I love her just as a person, sharing her struggles that she went through. It makes you feel powerful, because she shared all of this personal, insane stuff, and it makes us, I think, feel better knowing that we are not alone. Even these famous people go through those same struggles, and I think that's why I just really loved it so much. Alright, we're in the home stretch. Next on my list, Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. This little guy is saving the spot for the third book that I have pre-ordered, but Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Oh my god, so good. I'm not a fantasy person. I was not ever a fantasy person until I read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. This book had me crying, laughing, it was just the detail in it, like the small little things that you have to go back and read it again to make sure you're not crazy, that you're not imagining things. It's just, even now, there are little things that I didn't notice before that I hear people talk about, and I'm like, oh my god, you're right. I don't want to think about the theories that people have about it, because I don't want them to be true. But if you like dragons, if you liked Aragon, you might like these. There is some spicy stuff in them. So if you're not into that, then maybe stick to Aragon. But if you're open to that, read Iron Flame and Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing is first. Fourth Wing and then Iron Flame. So good. Recommend them. Last one. Our very last one is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. Oh. I'm a Russ Callahan girly. He's so sweet. He's so sweet. And I think that's what got me. Now, I do love Icebreaker. That one was a 4-star for me. I love Nate. But Russ was everything that I personally need. He was so sweet. He was so caring. He melted my heart. And he made me happy. And he reminded me of my own boyfriend. So I think that may be why I like him so much. But if you want something really fluffy with not as much spice, this is what you want. He is so sweet. He cares so much for Aurora. Oh, Aurora is a little bit hard to like at times, but she's relatable. We can understand why she does the things that she does and why the way that she is, I think. There are a lot of times where there's misunderstandings, miscommunication. I know a lot of people don't like that. I do, because that's realistic. A lot of us in our relationships misunderstand things, we miscommunicate, and I like it to be real. And this was very real. It was so good. And if you're looking for something with a little more fluff, I definitely recommend Wildfire. I do have the third book in this series pre-ordered. Comes in September. Super excited. Will update. But yeah, those are all of my 5-star reads so far. It is June 20th of 2024. So maybe by the end of the year we'll have a bunch more. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll do an update at the end of the year in December. But yeah, those are my 5-star reads. Let me know what you think about all of these in the comments. I would love to know how everybody else feels. I'd love to have a discussion. So put how you feel down there. And yeah, that's about it. See you next time. Bye.